up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in to check out the market recap we're going to do today. So we're going to talk about, real briefly, go over our Microsoft and our Broadcom or AVGO strategies and plays that we are currently in the middle of, that we did a video on last time. If you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. We did a big deep dive on Microsoft and AVGO. So we'll do a recap on that really quick, and then today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about Roku, Square, Amazon, and Nvidia. A couple of nice looking plays here that are kind of presenting themselves. So first, just a quick little recap of Microsoft. The candle today was quite a crazy one here. You see this red candle right here. Zoom it a little bit more for you. But typically when we see a candle like this where it's got a big upper and lower wick and then a small body to it, it kind of just indicates a potential indecision of the market currently, with buyers and sellers, often a big resistance or support level. And if we zoom out, it definitely is kind of a big level here. But overall, after the weekly close that we had with the hammer candle from the weekly here, just moving up, there's still a lot of room left for this candle to play out for the rest of the week here. So as of right now, things are looking fine. We gapped up, stayed up, and closed in a positive direction here. So yeah, if you want to see the full analysis on what I expect this stock to do, go check out the other video that we did. So another recap with AVGO. Not a lot of change today. A similar looking candle with the upper and lower wicks, but really we're still just chopping inside this range here. So one way or the other, when this decides to break either up or down, we will know what to do. But for now, we still hold our long position, expecting it to break to the upside. All right, let's dive into Roku here. So Roku is just looking mighty fine. I'm gonna get our chart zoomed a little bit just so we can kind of get a better picture of what's going on. But here's the whole chart, weekly chart of Roku. This chart here is a very textbook looking chart where a huge base has been forming. You know, a lot of people have been talking about Square and how it looks really great to run back up to old high numbers. Roku looks the exact same way to me. And we're going to go over Square here in a second. I'll show you. So just remember this kind of big, giant mountain looking pattern, or a big M looking pattern here. So I'm going to zoom back in so we can see, just easier to do this. All right. So on the weekly chart here, in the most recent weeks, we've had this downward trend line forming, and a trend line is just a line, an arbitrary line that I drew here myself, that shows resistance levels as a stock moves through a certain range. It can show resistance and support levels. Stocks often play out in the same similar shapes and patterns just across the board. So we look for these patterns and these trend lines to form to help us get an idea of what the stock might be doing. In this particular case, when we see a trend line like this, acting as a resistance point where the price can't break over it several times, and it's like it's loading up that ammo, loading up the spring, and then it finally breaks through that trend line that has been formed all the way back here. That's a great sign. We like to see that break, and then a very common bullish structure, which is a positive structure, meaning the stock has more upside left. When we say bullish, we see it come back to retest this trend line and see if it can act as a support. So instead of the price hitting this line and then rejecting back down, we see the price touching the line and then bouncing back up, which is what we want to see. Now, another great structure that we see here on top of this trend line breaking is what we call a falling wedge, or a pennant, falling pennant pattern here. You could even draw another line here and call it a flag, whatever you want to call it. Either way, it is a bullish structure that we can see forming here. And we call it a flag because this big line here acts as the flagpole, or if you want to call it a falling wedge or a pennant. You can see this triangular wedge and pennant looking shape here that kind of speaks for itself. Either way, this positive structure has now broken up to the upside, and we've gotten a candle close over a former pretty big support and resistance level across the board. If we zoom way back out like we did and we come way back over here on the chart, these levels go way back over here. So anyway, they're pretty significant levels for us. So when we come back to our chart here, these patterns often run up to at least touch the high point of the pattern and very likely continue past it. So we have set these other support and resistance lines, and also these are going to kind of act as targets for us for the price. We have a position currently in Roku, and as long as we maintain this bullish structure, then we are going to be looking to see a price of 84 up to 87 and then up to 88, kind of as the last here, but at a minimum 87. So 7-point swing on the stock. If you want to buy shares or commons as it's referred to, you can be looking at an 8-point swing there, or if you want to load up options, you can take advantage there. Either way, I think it's great for a long-term play. And even past this, to be honest, I think it's got a lot of room left to run all the way up here to this line. As what you'll see is it is the 200 moving average price of what the stock is valued at, based on a long period of time, 200 days. Duh, it's in the name. This line here acts as a magnet so much. Just the way that these algorithms work and the way that these stocks work is it is going to touch this line. Now you can see this line has been trending down, trending down, trending down. So there's a chance that by the time it touches it, it's closer to this 110, 115 range. Either way, we still got a lot of room left to the upside here. So as long as a bullish structure and pattern continues to play out for this stock, I don't see why we can't get up to at least the 115 range here, within this range. And the reason I picked that is because you can see over here it's a former support and resistance level that acted pretty strongly with this candle here, these two candles here, this candle here. So that's just a rough estimate, but the top of this trend line break is at 110 at a minimum. So usually when these trend lines break and they maintain a bullish pattern, they run all the way up to the top. So again, that's where we're looking for Roku. Now let's dive into Square here. Now you remember that M pattern that I told you about, and everybody's getting all hot and bothered by the Square chart? Does that look familiar to you? Sure does. Everybody's talking about how Square's got this awesome run up, and yes, these two stocks are different. Square is crypto related, Roku is not crypto related, but they are both considered growth stocks if we're going to categorize them. And the way that these charts play out, they always rhyme. They're never the same, but they rhyme. So let's take a look at Square and see what we're looking at here. If we go back to our weekly time frame, let's zoom it a little bit so we can see what we're working with. So Square has, for many weeks, been chopping around in a big range. And I drew a trend line here. You can see this red trend line here. Let's make it blue so it stands out. That didn't really stand out, did it? There we go. We'll make it yellow, orange there. So you can see here, touching the top of the candle, almost touches the top of this candle here. These candles touch it, and it acts as a resistance level each time. And then again, this candle broke over, and then it closed over that resistance line. And then the following week, the next candle retested, touched this line as a support, and began its upward trajectory. Now you can see there's lots of positive things going on for Square, but in the short term, I'm a little nervous, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So when we see these trend line breaks, we want to see a nice retest of the support or resistance level. And this candle here kind of did it. It broke over it when the weekly candle opened. It was up here, came down, touched, and ended up closing much higher, which is a positive sign. However, it's not the best, most accurate retest that we typically like to see. And it would be nice if on a weekly time frame we got another candle that came down here, touched the level, and then bounced back up with a bigger wick, maybe looking like this candle here. That'd be nicer to see, and that would give me more confidence about this running up to the 200 moving average, which again we talked about when we were looking at Roku, how this thing acts as a price magnet. It's going to touch it eventually. If you zoom all the way out, you can see how it ebbs and flows with the price of the stock here, and eventually it is going to touch it, just like it did here, just like it did over here. It acts as a magnet. It's just not a very fast magnet. So now the reason why overall this is a very bullish looking chart, and it may or may not retest this orange trend line. It'd be nice if it does, and it would give me more confidence for buying shares or options going long in a position. If we zoom into the daily chart, the thing that has me the most nervous is this head and shoulders pattern that is forming. Let me get my drawing tool here. So you can see one shoulder, there's the head there, and then let's just get rid of that. Start over. Boom. One shoulder. Here's the head, and potentially the other shoulder. This head and shoulder pattern here is a bearish pattern, and it means that the stock price could very likely be heading in a lower direction. And that would line up with another retest of this trend line here. You can see on the daily time frame how it broke out, came down, retested it, and it acted as a support, and we had liftoff, which was good. It'd be nice to see that act as a support again with this pattern playing out. But if it does play out, it means right now with the stock sitting at 92, there's quite a bit of room left to drop down to the 82, maybe even 81 wick. So we'll see a wick down and then the candle close above the line. But for now, for me personally, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm hands off. I'm not going to have a position yet. I want to see if this pattern plays out. A candle closing over 94 would make me feel much better about this not being a head and shoulders. And the reason why I say that is because this candle over here had a high of 94. So if we can get over that 94 mark and have a daily close over that and let it keep rising, then it would invalidate this pattern. But for now, this is a very clear textbook head and shoulders in my opinion. So staying away, hands off. Let's see where we're at. Good, we got plenty of time. All right. Let's go over to Amazon. Check it out here. So Amazon has been having a nice run lately and consolidating for its next leg up. Personally, I think that is going to happen very soon. We are going to see all-time highs at the 233 mark and probably even higher. You can see again these trend lines. See how it's a repeatable thing. You can start to see with these different stocks how these lines start to form themselves when these candles form in a certain fashion, and you start to be able to recognize these patterns that play out, and you can draw these lines to help you determine these support and resistance levels. So again, we have another pennant or falling wedge looking type of a pattern here that broke out today, and it's got a bullish candle, which if we zoom in, you can see. So today the candle opened up here, we gapped up, we had a gap that filled. This candle touched down, wicked, and then came back up. And remember when I was saying earlier I would like to see a candle with square with a wick down and come back up? This is what I was talking about. It's a more bullish looking candle and a kind of confirmation that things are going to probably continue moving in an upward direction for us. At the very least, I think that this pattern and structure here is going to see all-time highs. Whether or not you should get into a position now, or if I'm going to get into position now, I wanted to enter a position today and was a little hesitant. It would be nice to maybe have either an inside day candle where the price kind of hovers around here for a little bit, or even another candle that wicks down here real quick and comes back up and closes in a similar fashion would make me feel good. But it would not surprise me in the slightest if we just see a candle here, 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 go up to 233 in the next, by the end of this week. It would not surprise me. So for now, I may or may not try to catch the run up to the 233. Either way, Amazon is a great company to invest in long run, but we had if we zoom out to the weekly chart here, this former trend line that we have drawn, we have not gotten a retest of it yet, and we like to see retests. So I'm a little bit hesitant on having a super long-term position on this. We'll see how things play out this week and next week, but I have a feeling that we could get a retest of this, at the very least, a test back to this blue line that you see here, which acted as a prior support and resistance level. So we'll see. For me personally, right now we do not have a position in Amazon, and it doesn't look like there's enough future upside to load up a long position. We could get more of a retest of this former breakout level here at the 215 mark. We haven't had a retest of that level either once we started chasing these all-time highs. So for me, I'm hands off. All right, let's talk about Nvidia. Everybody is talking about Nvidia. Jensen might be speaking right now, actually, as I'm making this video. So hopefully we got good news, positive things going. It looks like after hours, at least, moving in the right direction, and then overnight, we've got some positive green here, at least temporarily. So we'll see how things look. Personally, I would love, so you see this giant gap that we have on this chart here. I would love it if tomorrow we got a sell the news type of a situation where the candle comes down, and it looks like it's going to break underneath this old resistance line that comes back here. It's actually been a support line for the stock for quite a while, broke under it, reclaimed it. Not everybody has this line. It's just one that I've personally drawn. But it would be so typical to see a candle come down here to fill this gap at the 145 mark. Buyers step in, and then the candle closes back above this yellow line here. I would love to see that. If we get that anytime this week, tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be buying heavily, as much as I can, into Nvidia as a long-term swing, because this thing is a monster. Don't underestimate Nvidia. Never underestimate Nvidia. It is always going to make you cry if you try to short it or doubt it. So if it presents us with an opportunity to load in, and it would conveniently line up with these EMA lines here, the moving averages that we have, they'll probably come up here at some point tomorrow. If we do get that wick, would just act as another level of support and be another bullish sign to buy a bunch of options or stocks, shares, commons that I can in Nvidia, and ride the wave. So if you've made it this far, you are awesome. I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, turn on notifications. That is all I ask that you do to support me and this channel as I continue to make videos for all of you. Hopefully it is educational and you're getting something out of it. And yeah, you be on the lookout for the next video here in the next couple of days. But got to hit that subscribe button to see it. So thank you for watching.